Chapter 88. Jara shows her tokens. After these words, the centurion and Ebal go over to Jara, asking her to show them the two tokens. And the most beloved Jara at once reaches into the large pocket of her apron, meeting the two and saying, "Here, look, my dear Julius, here are the two tokens physically. Do you believe it now, and will you ever step out of your eternal fear?" Says the centurion, "Indeed, my most beloved and fairest Jara, my faith now stands more solid than this mountain, and my tiresome fear is now, with the help of the Almighty Lord, gone forever. Of this you can be fully assured. But your tokens are also of inestimable terrestrial worth. The mussel with its content is equivalent to all of Jerusalem, for it contains 24 pearls the size of small hens' eggs, of which one is worth 100,000 pounds of gold. The worth of this most solid but transparent stone, more beautiful than the morning star, is beyond terrestrial estimation. In short, you are now not only spiritually, but also terrestrially the wealthiest maiden in the world. Verily, you now are wealthier than all the kings and emperors of the entire world put together. What does it feel like?" Says Jara modestly, "It feels like nothing at all, and these two tokens have no value for me other than the purpose for which I took them, namely as reminders of the indescribable wondrous deeds of God to us poor, weak, and sinful inhabitants of the town and area of Gennesaret. The Lord will not stay always among us physically, as he emphasized to me yesterday. But these signs shall intimately remind us of him in our hearts, and rekindle our love for him. This is what I think. But the Lord still left me with another sign from this wondrous night, which actually for me was the most brightest day. This sign shall also remain with me visible, and later invisibly, until I once again make myself worthy enough for it to again become visible." Asks Father Ebal, "Now then, where is this sign? Are you not going to show us?" Says Jara, next to whom the angel Raphael is standing, "Here, it is standing next to me, if you have no objection." Says Ebal, who is mustering the angel head to toe, "This, of course, is a still more exquisite token. But I fear that you are head over heels in love with this beautiful youth far too soon. Should he then become invisible to you, then you shall go blind and deaf for sadness." Says Jara, "Oh, don't let that worry you. Whoever once loves God the way I do, for such even the beauties of all the heavens are as good as non-existent. I do nevertheless love the youth a lot as well, for he is wise and immensely powerful, mighty and fast." Asks the centurion, "Where did he come from? For I cannot recall ever seeing him at Gennesaret, and yet he is clad fully in the fashion of that place. I admire his exceedingly pure, tender, and yet immensely gentle streak. There lies a veritable spell of the highest magic charm in his appearance. How tender, soft, pure, and exceedingly well-formed just his feet! The clean breeches reaching right down to the knees, the dazzling white shirt, and the pleated coat of blue cloth hung casually over his shoulders becomes him so superbly that one can hardly imagine something of more excellent taste, whilst his round little curls that adorns his most beautiful head in a manner defying description. Verily, this supremely fair youth I would deny no request. This one could deprive me of our empire, if he only loved me in return. Nay, the longer I look at this person, the more beautiful and attractive he seems. His parents shall of a truth merit praise, to have such son. And you, my most beloved Jara, can praise yourself as most blessed for such a present. If another such youth were to be had in the world, then I would give all my treasure and large properties for it. But what are you going to do with this most beautiful youth? You are yourself a most beautiful and agreeable maiden indeed, yet the youth considerably exceeds you in beauty. You are getting unto 13, whilst the youth would be about 16. If he becomes your husband, then well and good. If, however, he remains only a playmate for you, then your easily aroused heart shall be in a delicate situation. Tell us nonetheless how you shall utilize him. Says Jara, you speak after fashion, not knowing the spirit. This youth shall be my guardian and guide until my 16th year, and instruct me in the wisdom of God's heavens. As well as yourselves, should you intend hearing him. Says the centurion, but after your 16th year shall he become your husband? Says Jara, oh, my dear Julius, that once again was a question not making me bow down before you. Have I not told you right from the start that this youth shall leave me for a while after my 16th year, as determined by the Lord, which shall not trouble me, since my heart belongs completely to the Lord, who shall be with me everlastingly. If, however, my heart is God's property, then it cannot also become the property of another. Says Ebal, yes, indeed, my most beloved daughter, you are quite right. But your years have not arrived yet, and when they come, then you shall have much combat with your flesh. Good for you if you become its master. Adds the centurion, indeed, your father is right. Right now you are still a child, minor, yet there is already a kiln-like fire in your little heart. Right now it has, of course, the highest as its desire, and is not capable of hankering after something inferior. But once this highest should, for purpose of your introspection, withdraw from your little heart, then your heart shall get love-hungry. And should you go without the highest food for long, it shall soon start stretching out its long arms after other objects for nourishment. For, may stomach pangs be ever so painful, love-sickness is 1,000 times stronger. Let's take a field commander who is a loveless tyrant towards his soldiers. All are disconsolate, and when called to battle, they shall surrender to the enemy to rid themselves of their unloving lord. If, however, a wise commander shows fatherly love toward his soldiers, then let come the adversary, and they shall fall upon the enemy with valour and self-denial for their beloved commander, to the last drop of blood, annihilating the enemy. Yes, my most beloved Jara, love is a mighty thing, and this requires a wise direction if it is not to consume itself. Says Jara on reflection, yes, indeed, you may not be entirely wrong, but this much one has to suppose about the Lord, that he is not going to tyrannize a heart that loves him above everything else. Says Julius, that not, of course. Recalling what he spoke to you this night, he is and remains God, whom man's spirit can only fully approach when, through the powers lent him, man has shaped, developed, and stabilized, during which period of self-development he withdraws his attention from him. If so, however, then during such period, God of necessity is a tyrant with blindfolded eyes and stopped-off ears. And when such foretold period is upon you then, my most beloved Jara, we shall discuss it further. Says Jara, I fully trust and believe that he shall not abandon me then either. Says the centurion, that hardly, because you are already ahead of many of us. But you also shall perceive a small and short abandonment as cosmically large and heavy. But let us now go over to him, as he seems intent on something.